So, yeah, I had to come to Philly. Got to go to the Link and see the Eagles, the world champions, which, like, 2018. I hate being a Patriots fan. We suck. We're going to suck forever.
Listen, I feel for you, man. I really do. I have an idea. We've got some room left on the bandwagon, man. Why don't you just take a little walk? Take a little. Come on. Let's take it. It's official.
ELGSES Eagles.
You got to run for mayor.
Damn you, Belichick! Ah!
Welcome. If you have a copy, electronic copy of that picture of you and your mullet, I have one from the 80s where I got it permed in the back too.
You permed it too?
Yeah, I can put a little side by side. That might break the
Hilarious.
internet.
That's
And
hilarious.
just so you know, I had it done.
Who permed yours?
A woman, I lived in Morton in Delaware County. It was a woman across the street. She talked me into it because the next day I was auditioning at the Monster Factory in Swedesboro, New Jersey to be a WWF wrestler.
What?
Let me hear you do it. Come on, let's go back. You want me to give you a Love Master line? You can try to repeat it as Foghorn Leghorn. Ready? Or as you would do it.
Okay.
I won't judge.
Okay.
But yes, I will. All right, here we go. Hey, baby, I'm the Love Master, baby. You've heard of Naked and Afraid? I get naked, you'll be afraid, baby. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, your turn. Record this now and play it for Rosie.
She does it better than I do.
Here we go, folks.
Hey, baby, this is the Love Master. You heard of Naked and Afraid? When I get naked, you get afraid. I got worse.
That was a little, yeah, it was Wolfman Jack. Hey, baby, here we go. Okay, I'm going to Love Master. That was more Perv Master. Yeah. Like you're going to walk around in a trench coat, exposing yourself. Hey, baby. I wouldn't use that. I'm
having throat issues.
I wouldn't lead with that one.
Yeah. That may end up on the editing room floor. We'll have to see.
No, it will not. That's really funny. Yeah, baby. Come on now. Let me hear it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's Yoda.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate our first and longest running sponsor of the show, Tom and his team of insurance professionals at the Malin Agency. If world-class customer service and doing business with someone you can trust is important to you, give Tom and his team a call today for all your insurance needs. What advice might you have for someone who a little bit later in life is graduating from a comedy class, getting started, and really loves this whole business and loves everyone he's met so far that's in it?
I think that in a certain sense, the later you start stand-up, you have so much more of an advantage. You know yourself so much better. You know who you are. You've lived a life. You have stories. You know, it's people always go, I wish I started when I was younger. And it was like, I don't know. I was so young and so unsure of myself and so figuring, things out. And that's fine. Like it is what I can't go back and change it. But I look at people who, have lived a life and I'm like, look at like Leanne Morgan, who's so funny, and it's like she started doing stand-up later and now she's having this success, in her 50s. But so much of it is like her stories are incredible and they have to do with the life she led, having her kids and traveling around and the husband moving around for the different jobs. And, and she's also just so funny. But it doesn't, whatever your story is and however you got there, it's all great. There's no roadmap at all for this. And I really think it's really valuable if you're getting into it, like when you're older, I think. And I don't mean old, you know what I mean? You're not like in your 20s, but it's one of those, I think it's, you have a better understanding on what you're doing.
What would you say you love most about what you do?
Honestly, and it sounds really cliched and fake, I hope it doesn't come across that way, is I love the people. I love meeting people. Um, and I will say I didn't always used to feel that way. Actually, there was a large part of my career where I was quite terrified of performing and just very anxious and
Wow.
um, really struggled. And I have been quite open about the fact that COVID was a bit of a blessing in disguise for me. You know, I was just sort of burnt out and quite depressed, and it, you know, fortunately gave me the time to kind of see someone and get my anxiety and issues under control. And since I have, it's just been a game changer. I just feel so thankful that I get to do what I get to do. And I also am mostly grateful that, you know, we've had hard times as a family. I've talked about losing my mom to cancer
Mm.
and that sort of thing. And I'm very aware that there are people in my audience that are going through those sort of things, you know, but they've spent their hard-earned money to come see me, and I get to hopefully take them away from that for a couple hours of their time. So I just feel so lucky that I get to do that and hopefully, you know, help people. And I'm just thankful for that, really. And I, you know, it's always lovely to meet fans, and you do meet some incredible people that not only support me in what I do, but you know, we're all going through the same things, and they're genuinely really cool people. So I do like the fans the most, if that's not too cheesy to say.
No, not at all. And I think that it's a beautiful gift that you share every time you go out there, and that's just giving, like you said, that escape, giving people a chance to just disappear for a
Yeah.
little while into a very special place where you take them and nothing else matters for that time that you're up on that stage, or even if they're listening to one of your CDs or an album or digitally, however they're listening,
Mm.
they're escaping and you're providing that escape. I don't know of any better gift,
Yeah,
especially in
really.
these difficult times we're in. And people, like you said, they're going through different difficult things. I mean, what better way to help than that?
And I mean, again, I'm just lucky that I have an escape. You know, I
Yeah.
don't take it for granted that I get to, it's free therapy. I get to go on stage and play really loud guitar and scream into a microphone. Who's not going to feel better after doing that? And then people clap.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous what I get to do for a living. It's stupid. So the fact that I get to do it and, you know, can hopefully entertain people is a
Yeah.
lovely.
Where did you draw the strength and inspiration from, to come back in the way that you have? And I can't help but think the fans played a big part in it.
For sure. The fans, I meant it was a lot worse than we were able to put out there to the public when it happened. I mean, I woke up out of the coma after, I don't know, a week or 8 days or something, and I had like 2,500 text messages of people. People were like, I had a heart attack. I'm glad you're doing all right. I was like, yeah, no, it's a little more than that. I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, I died twice. I was 20 hours of surgery, 8 liters of blood. I was in a coma for a week. I was on ECMO, that's the final Hail Mary there. If that don't work, there ain't nothing they can do. So the good Lord just wasn't ready for me. He had more for me to do, and the devil was scared. So
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Jay, what would you say are some of the lessons that you learned early on in your career as a comedian? What were some of the key things that you learned?
So the one thing, it's interesting you get asked that because I just performed at the Comedy Cabaret in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and there was a young kid there who sort of asked me the same question. And the number one thing I learned is that you get into comedy because you're a people pleaser. You want to make people laugh and happy, and you want them to like you. And this weird thing happens that when like you're young and you're just starting out and you get in front of an audience, you're desperate for that love more than anything else in the world. You want them to love you. But ironically, the more you want love from an audience, the less willing they are to give it from you to
Wow.
you. If they sense in you desperation, I always say it's like being a salesman or approaching a girl at a bar. If they know that you are desperate, they immediately get icked and they just go away. So this weird thing has to happen, which is to get the audience to feel like you want them to feel. You have to stop worrying about whether or not they feel it. Like if you care too much about whether or not they're laughing, they will stop laughing. because it will change the power dynamic. So they always say it takes about 10 years to get good at stand-up comedy. And I think what they mean by that, it's not 10 years to get funny. It's 10 years to get to a place where you're no longer concerned if the audience laughs or not, because you failed so many times. You stop worrying about failure. And ironically, that makes the audience like you more.
One of the artists I was writing a bunch with, got a couple cuts with, he told me once, he said, you know what? Once you've written enough songs, you can write anything with this, and it can be like a heady, smart, clever song, and that's great, but it's not going to move the dial unless it comes from here, from your heart. And at the time I was like, okay, that sounds a little bit dramatic, but okay. But then I started realizing, at the end of 2023, I had really dug into my morning routine, which I still do today. I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I run 5 miles. I solo write. I journal. I read, all before my morning writing session.
Wow.
And it was during that time that I really put blinders on. I thought, you know what? Who cares, what Nashville or Music Row thinks about these songs I'm writing? I want to write songs that say something and that matter to me, even if they don't do anything commercially. And that might sound kind of cheesy, but that's just where I was at the time.
Yeah.
And I found that it was during that era, it was kind of the kickoff of starting to tell my own story.
You were performing and touring the country at the ripe old age of 17.
Yeah.
What inspired you to take that giant leap at that time? That's amazing.
Well, I'm from a really musical area, Saugerties, Woodstock, New York. Tons and tons of just crazy talented people, and I have been pursuing music since I was 11. It's basically the only, not even for the career, but it's been the only path I've wanted to pursue. So by the time I was 17, it was just time to head on out, and I went down to Orlando, Florida, and I did like a engineering program for a couple months, and then got my first taste of dive bars and making some cash and playing for people, and I was hooked. And from there I just kept going. Went out to Colorado for a while, back up to New York, and I would always have kind of like a home base and then shoot out, whether it be 400 or 1,000 miles, and come back and just kind of work my way grassroots across the country.
A little bit later this month, I believe it's June 27th, you've got a big show coming up in Phoenixville at the Great American Pub. So what's that all about?
The Great American Pub, Hotel and Casino. There in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. No, first time I'm working there, and I think I know where Phoenixville is. It's kind of like up and over, like 422-y world, kind of past King of Prussia. So that's the western suburbs are confusing to me sometimes, but I'll get there on time.
It's between King of Prussia and the nuclear tower at Limerick, which is kind of around where I live. Yeah,
that sweet spot in the middle. Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to be there with my dear friend Helene Angeli and Steve Bickle and a young lady from New York named Vicky Wong. I think Wong. I don't know, but she's funny. So yeah, so it'll be fun. It's kick off this. Well, actually, this will be the last show. Right after that, I go in for knee replacement surgery. So come to that show in Phoenixville. You'll see the original package.
Wow!
Not my augmented bionic leg or anything. You're going to see the original factory settings.
As you look back at all that you've accomplished and all that you've been through in your journey thus far, what would you say you're most proud of?
My children, my wife and my kids, man. I'm more proud of them than anything, honestly.
Well, that shows, again, it's having priorities in order. And because when I asked that question, and I like to ask it because I think the answer itself can sometimes tell a lot about a person. And that clearly just says a lot about you. So kudos for that.
No, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm proud of just about everybody in my life. I've been surrounded by people who I love and who love me in return, whether it be my family or my band or my team or my fans or, just the people I'm on a spiritual journey with. And, it's just been blessing after blessing, but it's been all a gift from God. And I know without God, none of this would be possible. So that's that's how I've lived my life for the last few years, and that's how I'm going to continue living my life. I'm going to keep growing as a human being. I'm going to keep growing my faith. I'm going to keep growing my family, keep growing my music until I can't grow no more. And that's what people can look forward to in my future, man. That's just it.
In the beginning, you do 3 to 5 minutes, and that feels like forever. And then all of a sudden you get bumped up to 7 minutes. And you're like, 2 extra minutes? What am I going to say to these people for 2 extra minutes? Now, an hour is easy. Now, an hour doesn't faze me, you know, but those little incremental change. I remember one of the first times I was offered to headline, and I only had 30 minutes, but they wanted me to do 45. And I wrote the guy, I said, honestly, I'm flattered, but I think let's try co-headlining. Let me bring in another guy that's at my level, and we'll both do 35 minutes, and we'll do that rather than have me sit there and flail. And so, yeah, it's just these small little incremental steps.
What ultimately inspired you, though, to take that shot and go for that audition on The Voice?
You know, I had been playing clubs for a long time, and I kind of was, you know, I hate to say I had kind of hit like I felt like a plateau. Like I was like, okay, I know how to play a bar gig. I know how to play a club gig. I know how to play a festival. I kind of had already gotten to that level. And I was kind of like, okay, well, what are we going to do next year? You know, what's going to happen? What ideas do we have? And it was actually my manager, Robin Roberts, who said, hey, you know, why don't we go out for The Voice? You know, you already have 1 million people who follow you worldwide. Why not expand it even more? Why not let those 1 million people get excited? Why not have some sort of new approach? And I just thought, okay, I'm totally down for that. I never said no. I kind of was like, all right, let's do it. And so there I was on a plane out to LA. And was it a risk? Yeah. But I really appreciate something that Dan and Shay said to me off camera. And they never aired this, but I really appreciate it. Shay said, Karen, I love that you're taking a step back to take a step forward.
We got together a couple weeks ago, and at that time we were talking about your upcoming appearance at Soul Joel's on Good Friday, which ended up turning into kind of a great weekend. But that
Great
show,
Friday, yes.
Yeah,
Great Friday weekend, yes.
Oh my God, it was spectacular. How do you do what you do, and where do you get your energy from?
Well, that probably goes back to another reason why I'm going to therapy. Too much caffeine. Probably should cut down some of the coffee during the day, but I have natural energy. I have no attention span. Was alone a lot growing up, so it's like you use a lot of energy to create things. Constantly bored. It's insane. I have 9,000 subscriptions, iPad, games, comic books, books, anything at my disposal, and I'm so like, man, I really need purpose. It's crazy. So my mind moves way too quick. And that's how that madness you see on stage is, where I just can't settle down.
Paul, welcome to the show, sir.
Great to see you, brother.
Oh,
You've also seen me at the self-checkout, helping people figure that out. A little part-time on the side, you know, make a little extra cash. But yeah, great to be with you, man.
Yeah, great to have you. I'll tell you, this is so exciting.
You're a very big guy, though, in comparison to me. You're making me feel very, like, puny. This is like a studly man. Wow, that's a gun show. All right, here we go. Sorry. Okay, great. I feel really inadequate. I'm like 1 minute into this thing. Go ahead.
This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty & Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.